You might have noticed the new blended learning signs in front of classrooms lately. Well, actually, these aren't new at all. There's been a push for a new type of learning at Seaman High School. It is called blended learning.
Blended learning's an educational program or an educational model that allows students to have flexibility or choice over the pace, the path, the place, and the time of their own learning.
Blended learning is using the ability to pull resources from different places, especially online, into the classroom and using those to enrich student learning.
There is a total of 11 teachers at the high school that have gone through the formal blended learning training. Mr. Collins and Mr. Weens are two of the blended learning teachers.
I think one of the reasons that I became interested in it because I have always kind of done things a little bit differently, and I had done a little bit of reading. I tried to build in reading on a consistent basis in what's going on in education, and I had seen blended learning a couple of years ago and just kept seeing it, had read a few blog posts, and I heard about the success stories, and it kind of matched the way, like my personality, and basically a blended learning classroom is in some ways dysfunctional, or you could call it organized chaos, where there's a great deal going on and students are doing a lot of different things in the moment.
Every year I have students that seem like they need a little bit of a different pathway to have success, and English classrooms have a tendency to be very like rows and desks, reading and writing, very traditional. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I thought blended learning could give me more pathways to reach kids for whom that probably wasn't a natural fit.
I first learned about blended learning about 3 or 4 years ago when it started to become a more common term in education. Another administrator in the district, Annie Diedrich, she was the one who first passed the term along to me. Annie Diedrich, Mrs. Diedrich, is now the principal at Seaman Middle School, and she had been the principal at Elmont Elementary, and it was at her Elmont Elementary where teachers first started experimenting with blended learning, and it's taken off from there.
Mr. Collins is a first-year blended learning teacher, while Mr. Weens is a second-year blended learning teacher. I asked both of them what positive and negative experiences they've had so far using blended learning.
I've enjoyed it a lot. I think it's been really successful. It has led to me investing much more time in lesson planning beforehand and having to be more detailed with how I want the hour to run. But it's freed up the class time that I do have to get to know my students and their strengths and weaknesses better.
I look at student data, like how have my students done on exams, how have my students done in homework, how have my students done in their writing, and I can use that data to formulate what it is that I'm going to do next. I can differentiate, like if I have a student or a group of students that need a different focus, blended learning allows for a better direction in that area.
Both teachers explain why they think this new teaching method will stay.
And I think you're going to see significant changes to the way that classrooms run. I think you've already seen significant changes to the way that classrooms run, but I don't think that's going to slow down or reverse course.
Students. So there's obviously a part of me that is cynical that I've heard since day one. I began teaching where teachers said like, oh, it's just a new fad and it'll fizzle out. But maybe instead of looking at it as a new fad, it's better to look at it from a positive standpoint. Like this is a new method, and other methods will come along, and let's embrace this and become better at it and see where it is that it takes us.
The number of teachers that integrate blended learning in their classroom is only going to increase in the upcoming years.